Good day, everybody. This is John Scarborough and Savannah Scarborough. Today she's made me the cameraman because apparently I'm better at not being on film. So anyway, what we want to talk about today is how we've squared this up. We're going to kind of go through and walk through everything that we've done this far on the house. So everyone who hasn't watched some of the videos, we got started and we are building the house. So Savannah, how excited are you about that?
Really excited. I don't know that it's real yet, to be honest.
It's still not real to you?
Yeah, it's still not real. I guess when we set those trusses up, it'll be real maybe at that point.
It's so funny how people think, because to me it wasn't real until the day I started doing the work. And it's not real to Savannah until after she sees it. Yeah. So, but yeah, that is pretty funny. All right, guys, let's get right into this. So Savannah, show everybody what we're doing here to square this off.
I can't believe you're actually trusting me to explain this. Well, we measured off. We used the red building to measure off.
Okay, walk over here and show us how we started.
So we knew we wanted to be a certain distance from the red building, from anyway, that one. And so we just measured off here,
Here, let's go see the actual building that we're pulling off of, and I'll stand over here so everybody can see it.
We pulled off of those posts.
That's the porch side of the red building, for anybody that doesn't know. That's the porch.
We pulled off of that, made sure that we were just straight with string line all the way down.
Yep.
And so this house is going to be at 40 by 60, so this right here was 60 feet.
Yeah, so essentially we pulled off of those pipes right there and we made us a straight line. I went all the way beyond. You have to go beyond. When you're trying to build a building this big, you want to go beyond how far it is, especially when you're first getting started. When you're first squaring off a building 40 by 60 or this big, you want to start big and close in to what's right. Now there's lots of good videos of good builders. The Essential Craftsman is an awesome builder. I highly recommend you go check him out so that y'all can watch his videos on some details of building houses. But this is what we're doing. So we went way beyond right here. There's the stake that we started with, and I had Savannah stand down there, and of course it's kind of hard to see the building because the camper's blocking it, but I had Savannah stand down there and I just moved that string in and out until right when it was touching all of the posts. We tied it to the back post and she watched the front post. All right, so essentially what you want to do is you want to come down you want to sight down these posts. So you put your string at the very back post and then you come here and you just touch. You get somebody to tell you the second you touch right there. You just come in and out, and the guy at the end, it will be moving the string back and forth, slowly bringing it in until it actually touches. And then the guy down here will bring the string, he'll be moving the string in and out like this. And then Savannah just told me touching, not touching, touching, not touching, touching, not touching. And then from that, I could figure out exactly where I needed to put my string. And if you want to level one of these off, these posts right here, some kind of post, just hold it just like that, right at the very top, like that. And it will pretty well level itself off down to the ground. And so your string can be all the way up here and you know you're pretty close to level, and then you just drop straight down from there if you're touching the string right here, and you know you're pretty darn close. At this stage in the game, you're not getting dead perfect, you're just getting it close. So once we got it set, then to get us started, we pulled 30 foot off of this side of the building all the way up into right in here somewhere, and pulled 30 foot off of that side of the building. So 30 foot off of both porches, and that gets you established at a pretty close to 30 foot, because one day we may have a carport right in the middle, and we want that carport to be fairly close to square. But at some point, you know at that point now you've got two lines. One's at 30 foot, and do the same thing here. Set your stakes way back here, and that gets you started. So that gives you two lines, but at some point you've got to decide which one's the most important. Well, the most important for us was the long one in the back. This just got us started. So then now you want to get these lines fairly close to square. So once you get these two lines set up, Then we just go ahead and measure off our 60 foot, and we go ahead and make lines all the way around. And then we'll have our stakes set right where we want them, because we go ahead and pull off. In this case, it's approximately 40 foot wide and 60 foot long. So we can use those strings to get us started. Measure our 60 foot there, measure our 30 foot here. Now we're 30 foot right here because we've got a string line running across this way, and we can find our 30 foot. We know that that string line is 30 foot, and we can measure off 60 foot from there, go there, do the same thing. That gets us started. When we did that, that actually got us pretty close to square. We knew we were close enough, so we went ahead and pulled a cross section to find out for sure that we were square. And I just had Savannah stand over there, burn 2 inches, and then I go over there, get it pretty close. At that point, you don't have to be like dead perfect. You just got to be close. That gets you close enough to build your boards, okay? So then you come in here. We had, you just get some 2x8s, I mean some 8 foot long 2x4s or 2x6s or whatever you had. These are some scrap 2x6s that I had. And just cut them in half. And then these stakes right here, now you can just use 2x4s for this, but these stakes, here you go. Savannah made a couple more of those stakes. I made a bunch of these a while back ago, these 2-footers, but Savannah made some 3-footers for me. And those 3-footers work really good when you come to a lower part. So this ground's lower over here than it is over there. So when you got a 2-footer and then a 3-footer over here, that works quite a bit better. Grab a 3-footer, Savannah. We don't have any more? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so all the 3-footers are in there. But Savannah had gone and made me some more of these 3-footers. But they're really easy to make, guys. That's why I'm wanting to bring this out. I went and bought, now you can buy these stakes as well. The Essential Craftsman, he has a website or something like that. I don't think he sells them, but he talked about some people that do sell them. But they're easy enough for me to make. All I did was buy some 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch square bar, cut them to the length that I wanted. These are 2 foot, and then, like I said, Savannah made those 3-footers. And then I just measured my holes. I think it's 4 inches apart. And then your top hole, you know, you stagger your top hole. Your first one is 1 inch down. Your second one is 2 inches down. The 2 inch is more useful for me because you see where it's connected. You don't want to get too close to the very top of your board, but the 1 inch does work, and you have to stagger them. So just play with that, figure out where you want to go with that. These are pretty darn handy when you start building, guys. They're really nice. If you're not going to build a lot of stuff, you might not need that. All you need is a 2x4. Anyway, that's enough of that. So you just put these up. You know, imagine your stake sitting right there. You would have this stake. Savannah, grab that stake and put it in that. Just put it about where it was. You'd have that stake in the ground right where that hole is. And then you just put these boards up about 2 foot away this way and about 2 foot away that way. And now you've got lots of room. You can see where our different marks. This is the one that we finally went with, but we started way over here because we were out of square, and then we slowly walked in until we got it where we want. And you do the same thing all the way around. Actually, no, I'm wrong. This one was permanent. These were this was from another job, but this was the permanent line. But it's the same example all the way around. We squared from these other 2 sides. And you can use this to square because now you have your line and you can just walk it wherever you want. But the beauty is when you get done, you put your mark right here. And of course, you put your final square mark. You take a square and go ahead and put your one going down. Once you get established what's square. So we went all the way around and we got this to within, I think it was within a 1/16 of an inch of square, which is super close for a building this big, especially at this stage. Get it that close, and then you can pull all your strings off and dig your holes. Well, actually, you want to measure and go ahead and get your holes marked. But that gets you super close to square. But now, once we get our holes dug, we'll be able to lay these strings right back in, figure out exactly what we need to do, pour our concrete, and then put our pads right in and use that as a reference. There's no guesswork. The only thing that is important is that every person around you, every person working for you, every person, I'm not pointing fingers, every person that's anywhere nearby needs to know, do not kick them. Like if you accidentally bump it, the main thing is if you do bump it, tell somebody, because you're building your whole house off of that mark. So if somebody bumps this and they don't tell you, then all of a sudden you're building your whole house off of it.
Or if a cow comes out here and rubs on it.
Yes, if a cow, that I could see that happening. A cow, that would be the day a cow would break out and get into our yard. We would wake up the next morning, they'd be out here tearing all this down. And honestly, I'm gonna tell you, it would be better to have a yard full of cows that bumped this than it would be if somebody accidentally barely bumped it and then walked away. The reason is because if a cow tears it up, I can re-square it up and I'll know about it. But if somebody accidentally bumps this or pulls on it or whatever, and they don't tell anyone, all of a sudden, you know, because I've got somebody working for me too, and they have to be aware of the same thing. And then we have kids that come, our nieces and nephews, they'll come out here and play. They've got to be aware they can't lean on this or play on it, because if you touch it and no one knows, then you're building your whole house wrong. But beyond that, it is so easy as long as you can keep from messing that up. Because once I get these holes drilled and I pour my concrete, I can take my metal pad and I can just drop it right into the concrete. And we'll probably have more videos talking about that once we get going. But man, I'm so happy about this. I'm gonna show y'all just a little bit more. Okay, so I did want to touch on this 100-foot Spencer logging tape. This is what we're using to build our house with right now. The Essential Craftsman brought me onto this. I saw his video. It's an excellent thing, but so like I already knew about the loggers tape, the 50-foot ones, but he has a video about 100-foot, and pull that tape out right there. It's got this right here. It's for layout specifically. Now you have to actually order that, otherwise it will come in for the logger. So I've got a 75-foot I use for my logs, and I've got this one right here. And the loggers tape, I have a little nail on there. But this one, I made a little video where I actually made this one just for fabrication because I really like that hook better. But this is awesome because it's got 16-inch layouts, just perfect for a 2x4 and everything. And it's got all your layouts. It's got the same layouts right there, which is pretty rare. Most people don't know about those. Obviously it has the 1-footers, you know, and all like that. So it's just a wonderful layout tape measure. If you don't have a Spencer for fabrication or for building big buildings, man, this thing right here, I love it. Spring loaded. You just clip it to your side. You don't have to worry about rolling it up. Love it, guys. Check it out. All right, Savannah, why don't you tell us how the digging went last night?
Well, I'll just say him and the girl that works for us started digging holes, and I was in town, and I was called and told to go to Tractor Supply and buy bolts because bolts were shearing off. Yes, so
the shear bolts on the auger were shearing because, here, I'll show you the shear bolt real quick. So if you don't know, y'all bear with me, I got a little wind blowing here. If you don't know, you've got a shear bolt. This is a low-grade bolt. Please do not put a high-grade bolt in there. That's a low-grade bolt that's specifically designed to be what shears off. That's if you hit a rock or if you hit really hard ground, rather than tearing your auger up or tearing the entire deal up or possibly tearing your tractor up or even shutting your tractor off, all it does is shear this off. This is an excellent design. It works really well. We took our 9-inch augering bit off and put our 12-inch on here. This is actually my father-in-law's 12-inch. But we started breaking them yesterday. We broke one. I've never actually had to worry about breaking them. Like usually I can just ease in and out, and I don't worry about breaking them. You know, you might break one out of like 20, 30 holes. But it's pretty rare. It's not that often. How many times have you seen us break a shear bolt, Savannah? You've helped me a lot.
I didn't know it was a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, of course, the size that he needed, there were only 9 in the, you know.
Yeah. So she bought everything Tractor Supply had. We have broke 8 shear bolts so far.
but we have this super red, hard clay dirt up here.
Yeah, it is a very hard. It's just extremely hard up here. I mean, it's be a great spot to be a great foundation, great spot to build a house.
And it's July, so
yeah, it's July. Now we've had a lot of rain for this time of year, but this, if anybody knows anything about red dirt, this is what you build hard pan out of. Okay, you can build a hard pan base, or you can build ponds out of this that will not leak, because once it packs up it will not let water in very easily. So when you look down in here, we had to fill this up with water last night, and it has been 15 hours now, and you see how far that water has sunk down. So we did not get very deep. We started shearing bolts, so we filled them up with water and we quit. We dug as much as we could, and I'm telling you guys, I was as easy as I could be. I was being real careful, doing a little at a time, but there are some big rocks down in there, and it's just like, once it grabbed, it broke. But I'm gonna go back to my 9-inch auger now that I've got it soaked, and I'm gonna try drilling to depth. I need to go to 40 inches, and I've got to be 18 inches wide. I'll show y'all what that looks like here in just a second. But I've got this right here. This is my 12-inch. So I'm going to take my 12-inch back off and put the 9-inch on. If I'm still shearing them with that 9-inch, then I can put a 6-inch on. My brother has a 6-inch one. So just incidentally, if y'all don't have a community where you're able to share things together a little bit, I have a 9-inch auger. My father-in-law has a 12-inch auger, and my brother has a 6-inch auger. Between all of us, and you know, it goes the same way with other types of things. We're not sharing all kinds of equipment. Obviously, we're not sharing tractors and things like that. But there are some things that not everybody has to buy. We all live 2 minutes apart from each other. Her brother lives 2 minutes from us. My brother lives 2 minutes from us, and then her parents live 2 minutes from us. And if you can build a good community like that, there's just a lot that can happen there, and it can be cheaper for everybody. As long as you're all fair. You know, there's a lot of families that aren't fair, and they just want to mooch off everybody else. You can't do that. But as long as everybody's fair about it, then there can be some really good relationships going on there that can really help out. So the plan going forward is once we finally get these holes dug out, then we're going to have an 18-inch hole, and then this is 4.5-inch pipe, and we're going to have a weld plate that's going to get welded down to that pad. And that's just going to give you a lot better base. I know a lot of people in the comments are going to ask, well, why can't you just bury that pipe into the ground and be just fine? All right, so that's exactly what I did here. This is a concrete pad. Now you can tell some dogs have dug away from it a little bit. But this is basically a concrete base with, Savannah, would you hold this rubber out of my way for me? This is a concrete base, and I just took the pipe and went all the way down. Obviously, I did not touch the ground. I put, you want to put a little block, like a stone or something like that, for it to sit on, and that way you don't rust your pipe out. But then you pour the concrete around and you're just fine. But this is only an 8-foot post, and it's a very small building. It's not and it's not a very tall post, and it's a very small post. There's just not a lot of load here. So the wind load isn't shifting. So what will happen is when you get a taller building, the shortest post on this big house is going to be 16 foot, okay? And then it's going to be longer. Some of them are going to be longer than that. And then the total height of the house is going to be approximately 25 foot tall, okay? So when you get that, the wind load shifts, and that piece of pipe will start to move like this. You may not think it, but all buildings are moving. So it's moving around, and that shift can actually start to crack this concrete and break it away, and then you have nothing. So it's a lot better if you get a really big foundation to just take your post, come down to a weld pad, and then that way you can build a very nice foundation and then weld it straight to that weld pad. So that's why these posts look like they do. They're not even right now because these posts are about 21 foot long, but they'll end up getting cut to somewhere close to 16 foot. But we're going to make all of these pads fairly close to flush. We're going to make them about 1 inch high, and that keeps any water from getting to your metal, and so that way it stays dry, but no more than 1 inch. That way you don't have this big thing just sticking out from the outside of your house. You can do that. Some people do that. They will build a tall pier, and you can level all of your piers off. You make all your piers completely level. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it, which is the way we're going to do it, is just take all of your piers, put them 1 inch into the ground, and then cut your post to the right height, okay? And we'll have more videos talking about that. But that's what we're going to do, and that's the reason these posts, they're not cut to length right now. So those are all cut to the same length, but that one's a little short, and that's why. It's because they're just random posts put on here until after we cut them to length. All right, guys, so what you're looking at is essentially the foundation, okay? This is 6 rebar. This is I think this is 5/8. Yeah, it's 5/8 rebar. I would have preferred to use 3/4, but I couldn't find anybody that had 3/4 rebar, and 5/8 is plenty big enough. We will have one more that sticks down into the center of it. I'll grab this one. This one's a short one. That one's just a piece of scrap there. Grab this. So you'll have one more. Savannah, show everybody how that goes. That's going to drop down into the center. You'll put that in once your concrete goes in. So this is about a 15-inch circle, 16, somewhere, I think it's 14 or 15, I don't remember exactly, circle, and then you'll have an 18-inch hole. So your concrete's going to be somewhere right in there, all the way around. Once you fill this full of concrete, then you'll take this and stab it down right into the center. Okay, grab that. Now, y'all keep in mind, I'm not telling y'all how to build an engineered building. It's important for y'all to go ahead and figure out the engineering process yourself. All right, so this is essentially what you're going to see in your foundation right here. This is approximately 14 to 15 inches in diameter, and we do have a video that walks through exactly what you need to do to build this whole thing. It's fairly easy, but it just kind of walks through the process. I mean, you can kind of see what you're doing, but it just walks through the easy ways of bending this if you don't have a roller and things like that. Y'all can go check that video out. So this is 36 inches right here, and your hole is going to be 40 inches deep. You don't want this touching the ground, and you don't want this coming up too high from your plate, okay? Because if you get, like, some people just fill their hole with rebar, and some people don't put enough. But if you have rebar coming 2 inches or closer, you start to create micro fractures between your concrete. So you want enough distance between there, otherwise you're going to crack all your concrete out. The goal is to build as much strength as you can without getting rid of the rigidity of the concrete, okay? So Savannah, put that down in there and show everybody what's going to happen there. That one, once you fill your hole, so your hole will be a little bit bigger, it'll be about like this, 18 inches all the way around, okay? And then you fill your hole full of concrete, and then you'll drop this down in. You need to make sure that there's this right here, it needs to be sitting on some blocks. So we'll put some little blocks or stones or something down in the bottom of the hole, and that's going to keep this setting at the right height because we're 40 inches deep. So we want to elevate this about 2 inches or so. So we'll just put a little 2-inch stone down in there to lift it all up. And that keeps you from touching the ground, just helps everything to be better. So you'll fill that all with concrete, drop that in, and then you'll grab this little bad boy. Savannah, you can pull that out and pick that up, show it to everybody. This is a 12-inch pad. This is bigger than is necessary, okay? But, and then of course these are way bigger than is necessary. The reason I use these is because I used what I already had. I could have gone and bought some stuff and got it, but I got all of it. I already had all of this, so it just made it a lot cheaper for me to go ahead and just use this. I did buy this plate from the scrapyard, but I bought it for literally hundreds of dollars less from the scrapyard than I would have if I would have bought it new. So a lot of people are in the comments going to ask me, well, they're going to say, well, hey, you can build that. I mean, you can buy that. Why are you building it? Well, because I actually can build this for cheaper because I got most of my material either free or next to free. So that's just what happened there. These right here were actually concrete rods that I had found a bunch of them on our property when we bought this place. So I went ahead and used them. They're too big. 1/2 inch is what I probably would have gone with, which is what you see over here. Okay, so flip that pad over and show everybody what it's going to be. It's a 12 by 12 pad, and there's a couple reasons for that, and we'll talk about that. Essentially, the 12 by 12 pad, and that's just going to drop in after your concrete. Once you fill your concrete in your hole, then you grab this, and then after you've got that in, so you put this in your hole, then you fill your hole with concrete, then you put that into the hole, and then you place this down into the hole, just like that, and then put your level on there. That's exactly right. Make sure that pad is level. The closer to level that pad is, you can still work with it if it's not dead level. But you want it to be as close as you can. Your post is going to sit right on top of that. There's a couple reasons why you want this big. First of all, if it's big, then it gives you a little play if something happens while you're building your house and your post is a little bit farther than you thought it would be, or a little bit closer, or whatever, gives you a little play and you don't have to worry about it. This is a lot of play. I mean, we're talking about a 4-inch post. So, but also it gives you extra meat to weld to. But I'm not making this big. Ordinarily, I would have gone maybe 8 inches, and I would have been just fine because I would have had plenty play, okay? The reason I made this so big isn't because I wanted that much play. I made it this big because I want to distribute my load across there, okay? This gives me more surface area. So I've got that 4.5-inch pipe, sits down, and then all of a sudden I've got all that spreaded load, and it just helps spread that and distribute it across that 18-inch barrier of concrete. So that's kind of what we're going to do there. That's the reason for it. And I'll show you, I made a little small diagram here of what it's going to look like. That is an actual 18-inch circle and an actual 4.5-inch circle. So that's pretty much exactly what it's going to look like. This represents your string line when you're building your house. All of this will be sitting under the house. This will come outside the house, okay? Which is one reason why we want to go ahead and go 1 inch off the ground. If I came 2 foot off the ground, or I try to level all my pads off, I'm always going to have this much sticking outside my house, and I really don't want to do that. I've also seen people build pads where it's built just like this, but then they lay their post right at the edge of the concrete. I don't really like that because you really need this extra, you really need it sitting in the center or somewhere close. It could be a little off and be okay, but you need it somewhere close to that center. That's what really helps to strengthen your foundation. This is the foundation of your house. So that's kind of what it's going to be. It's going to be about 1 inch off, and then we'll take rock and bring it, level it out around, to grade, kind of level it out, and that just keeps water away from the edge of your house. And of course, a lot of this right here will be covered by a porch, so it won't matter. But that's kind of what we're doing. So guys, I think that about wraps it up. Savannah, what do you think?
Sounds good to me.
Are you excited about building your house?
Yes.
Are you excited that you're going to have a house, even though it's not real yet?
Yes, I am.
I mean,
you've
been living in that camper right there for a long time, and I'm very impressed.
I know. We've been living in that camper for longer than we lived in a house at this point.
Yes.
Considering like the length of our marriage.
Right. We owned a house for a while, guys. It was a nice house, nice brick house. We owned it. We sold it. We've talked about that on the channel before, and we made good profit. That's why we sold it. But we moved over here to raw land, and we've been working on this raw land for a while, and we're finally getting started. Now, we don't know how long that house is going to take to build, because we're going to build it a little at a time.
That's why I'm preparing myself for another 5 years. I mean,
yeah,
just on the off chance.
It could be. You never know, because we're building it in cash, but we've got the money. It isn't the money. It's just taking the time to build it together.
And I told somebody yesterday that I want to make sure that we do what we want to with this house. And
right.
So if it means taking longer to get what we want and make sure, then
I'm the same way.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I would rather build the house the way I want it than, especially since it'd be different if we weren't on the piece of property that we really like. But we really like the piece of property we're on. Now, that doesn't mean we won't sell it. Everything's for sale, But since we really like this piece of property and we could be here for a while, we want to go ahead and build the house that we really want, because we contemplated on moving some houses in, contemplated on building some temporary houses, but it's just, if this is where we want to be, we really just want to go ahead and build the house that we like.
That's kind of why it's taken us so long, because we've talked about all kinds of options.
Yeah.
All kinds of options.
So, well, guys, this has drug out way too long. So, like, subscribe, follow, go check out our TikTok, go check out our Instagram for Scarborough Farms. And Savannah does a lot of the stuff on that. And check us out everywhere, guys. But make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, please.